Welcome to another segment of Rapid Fire Insights with me, David McCall, your host, and my co host, Chris Hanna.
Hello, everyone.
And today we are honored to have with us Arms Bumanlag. How did you end up? I mean, your latest endeavor is, of course, real estate,
Mhm.
which I understand you're doing quite well with. So, how did you get from point A to point Z?
So I started my journey, I guess, in broadcast in 2003. That's when I had an opportunity to work at AM 800 and CTV Windsor, and really started from the bottom up in terms of working with people in the sector, and everything from producing to promotions to news to on air to making the segue into television. I had a stint at 89X, which was the new rock station in Detroit, for 3 years. Did some internships at Fox 2, WDIV, and then again landing on CTV with Jim Crichton. We had a good run for almost 10 years as the news anchor and the weatherman. After that, in 2017, I segued into the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation as news anchor. Proud to say I was the first multi-faceted news anchor CBC had, doing both news and weather for a short time, and then just strictly doing the news along with Karen Johnson. We were the first fully multicultural news team for Windsor Essex ever.
Wow.
So did that up until about 2019. Stepped away from broadcast and ended up doing some charity work.
Just a quick question on that. How hard was it to at that time to break through that from the TV, or like the radio to the TV?
For me, it was hard initially, but it became sort of second nature. Everything we did was live during my time at CTV, so there was very rarely any kind of recordings. I did everything live on site, live on location, live at breaking news, live at breaking weather, and the same thing goes for CBC Windsor when I was anchoring the news. Very rarely did you see me behind a news desk. I was always in the field covering the big story of the day. So we were pretty proud of that. But I go back to the old Johnny Carson days where it's, you're live once and that's how you learn how to adapt, because anything and everything can happen during live. So I actually thrived in live. I enjoyed doing it very much. Yeah.
What was that drive that put you into like broadcasting? Like what was it that made you, this is the thing, I want to do this as a career? And obviously to do that from 2003 to 2017, what got you hooked in there? Where's that origin story?
So for me, it was finding something that I truly enjoyed doing. I used to joke that I was very different from a quote unquote journalist, that I really tried to be involved in the community. Some of the people I modeled my career after in that aspect was Cam Gardner, the late Cam Gardner, who was a very successful morning show host on CKLW for a number of decades, very involved in the community. And then, of course, my good friend and mentor on television, Jim Crichton. There's a reason why those names sort of resonate with Windsorites born and bred, because they really gave of themselves to the community because they wanted to. For me, that was sort of, okay, these guys are sort of the gold standard. How do I do what I do and tap into obviously what worked for them?
Like, did you have this moment like when you were like as a kid who like, this is what I want to do, I want to have this career path, or was there something that kind of led to you taking that direction?
I actually wanted to, I actually flunked out of journalism at St. Clair College, believe it or not, in 2000. It was very print focused at that point. I did a semester of it, didn't like it. And then I actually ran my own store in Devonshire Mall for 3 years. It was a video game store called CompuCenter. And that was during the early 2000s to about 2002. And the franchise actually wanted to ship me up to Montreal to head up the new video game division. They were trying to make a run at Electronic Boutique. I'm a pretty big gamer, and still, when I do find the time to game, I like to game. So I had that opportunity to go up to Montreal and sort of head up that division across Ontario and Quebec. I turned them down. It didn't feel right at the time. I actually wanted to open up my own bar, if that resonated with anybody. I thought,
Like I said, multifaceted.
I thought I could be like a Filipino Ted Danson. That didn't really resonate. So, I just decided, okay, what can I do? And then I ended up going to Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts in 2003, and the rest is history.
Wow, that's awesome.
Fantastic. Now, You leapt from the radio and the TV, and I know you've already said you've been dealing with the charity sector, but then you became spokesman for a couple of local charity organizations. How was the transition from that to the spokesman? Was there that much of a difference, or?
Yeah, I when my son came home, I had my first child, my son Liam, in 2018, and unbeknownst to us, he had a number of health issues. He has something, generally speaking, called congenital heart defects. My wife and I were quickly whisked away from Windsor to London, then London to Toronto Sick Kids, where he had 2 open heart surgeries within a matter of 48 hours. We almost lost him during those surgeries, and his recovery was about 3 months, and we had a lot of setbacks. Um, I was very fortunate to have fantastic managers at the CBC. I just started who realized sort of the situation my family was in. So they allowed me to take as much time as I needed, and then even allowed me to anchor the news from CBC Toronto, which I turned them down. I ended up coming back into Windsor because I felt like I needed to be in the newsroom. But it was a long haul. My son's stable now, but after that, sort of anchoring the news and being involved in the news didn't feel right. It was really hard to be a newsroom leader when you're not able to give of yourself 24/7. And my son had a number of medical appointments in Windsor and London when we got him home. So I knew I had to make a pivot. So what was I going to do? An opportunity opened up at Erie Shores Healthcare through the amazing leadership of Janice Dawson, who was the CEO at the time. And I sort of joined the senior leadership team as a director of communications and PR. And this was literally 7 months before COVID hit. COVID hit. I went from the C-suite, helping to sort of elevate the hospital on a PR standpoint, to helping to assist where was needed in the hospital during COVID, doing a lot of outreach to the migrant workers during the first summer of COVID, and assisting frontline folks where I could. So I went from wearing suits to scrubs. Working literally around the clock, as many of the managers and healthcare professionals did. And that was a tough go for a lot of folks, including my family. So I did that till about 2021, and then I took a step back.
And how's Liam doing now?
Yeah, he's good. I think he might have popped into this podcast here.
I thought I saw his head there.
I thought I saw a head there for a second.
Head pop up here. He's great. He's sort of my mini me, starting senior kindergarten here in Amherstburg, and he's a fantastic kid. He's, knock on wood, health wise, everything is stable.
And now you've made the transition into real estate.
Yeah, so I sort of bounced around for a bit. I did some more charitable work, and I still do some consulting on a case-by-case basis. A lot of nonprofits I worked with over the years had reached out to me and wanted to bring me on full time. And as much as I love doing that, it's very specific on what I can provide, a business or nonprofit charity. And I still work with a lot of businesses I worked with during my CKLW days. From a social media perspective, like what you guys do here at Rapid Fire Insights, I think this is the new wave of what is going to be content for folks, and local content. There's an opportunity there as well from podcasting and just social media platforms. So I help businesses and individuals sort of figure out their brand presence online. And then I started to say, you know what, I think I'm going to do real estate. So I started to go through the program, and long story short, I was very lucky that a 41-year vet in the industry, multi-million-dollar producer since 1980, Ron Deno of Bob Pedler Real Estate, sort of sat down with me and said, I want to train you to be the new me. He's always been a lone wolf in the business. He's probably one of the most successful real estate agents locally in Amherstburg and certainly in Windsor, Essex. Not a lot of bravado, though, with Ron. Ron is very client focused, not very flashy in that sense, if that makes, getting out there. He just has a tremendous book of business. So I decided to come on board to be mentored by him, and it's been a blessing. Ron is very much my work dad. I joke around and he calls me son, I call him dad, but I've learned so much from the ins and outs of the business outside of learning, digitally through courses, how real estate works, and from the lens of customer service and respect. And that's something that we pride ourselves on. We're a two-man team. I'm sort of the front man now, and Ron is the coach in the background, the Rocky to his Burgess Meredith, if that makes sense. and we're extremely laser focused on our clients. So I officially was licensed actually it'll be a year next month in October. Ron and I have both generated we're just shy of, I want to say 10 million already for the year.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's been really good, and I'm sort of building those relationships with folks. One of our call lines is, you call us, you get us. You don't call a number and then you get through administration and you gotta, somebody will take you to go show a house and then you get passed on to another. No, you call us from the beginning, you're going to get me from beginning to end and then down the road.
That personal touch is so important. It just really is.
I think so. I think it's the largest investment anybody will make in their lives. And, I'll straight shoot people. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I'll also advocate very fiercely for my clients. And at first it was sort of jarring to do that, but now I very much enjoy it. And I very much enjoy seeing people do well. I said, if broadcasting is not in my future anymore, because the type of broadcasting that's in the world today is very negative, in my opinion, how can I take the success that I've cultivated through charitable aspects and, radio and television aspects and broadcasting aspects and apply that to serve people? I think if you serve people and you come from a good platform, that allows you to be relatable, but it allows you to cultivate business down the road as well. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity from Ron to have that guidance, the mentorship, and to sort of expedite the learning process and start to develop those clients down the road too, right? I say to people, like, I'm aiming to be your realtor for life. And it's not just, I know we've dealt with realtors in the past, my wife and I, before I was licensed, and once the sale goes through, you never hear from them again. Yeah. They just vanish. No, not me. I am all about the complete customer experience. I try to get to know people, and I pride myself in really making connections with folks. So everything I did in radio and television.
Speaking about getting to know people, we want to get to know you a little bit better. And Chris has some questions for you.
We're going to go into this rapid fire insights kind of side of things here. We're going to throw as many questions as possible. There we go. We got them in the background.
There's my little guy. Yeah.
We're going to throw 20 questions at you. It's going to be a mix of questions. Fast pace, quick. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. First question. Let's just start with this one. This will be a fun one. What's your favorite video game? You said you love playing video games.
Mortal Kombat.
What's really sparked your entrepreneurial journey?
Family.
How would you describe your overall broadcasting style when you were in the broadcast business?
Warm.
What's one piece of advice, if you could go back 20 years, that you would give to yourself?
Believe in yourself.
What's one book you think that everyone should read?
Anything by Dr. Wayne Dyer.
How do you handle stress and uncertainty that comes with entrepreneurship?
Always look for the bright side.
What's your favorite movie?
Batman.
The one with Michael Keaton?
Debatable.
Debatable. Okay. What's a common misconception about broadcasting?
It's easy.
What's an emerging trend right now that you think more business owners should keep an eye on?
Social media.
How would you describe the state of real estate right now in the Windsor area?
Untapped opportunity.
Ooh, love that one. How do you prioritize so many tasks when you've got so many things going on right now?
Make sure things meld into each other and know your reasons why.
You talked about earlier about trying to help others with their brand in businesses. What's a marketing strategy that you think is most effective for reaching new customers?
Be you.
Love that. What's one piece of advice that you would give to someone else who's looking to start their own venture?
Find what you love to do and do right by other people.
If you had a superpower, you wake up tomorrow, you got a new superpower. What's that superpower?
More time.
More time. If you could create a new holiday, what would it be called and why would we celebrate it?
International Vacation Day. And we would celebrate it by laying on the beach and unplugging from our devices and drinking margaritas.
I like that. I
like that a lot. If your life had a soundtrack, what song is kicking off that soundtrack for you?
Cats in the Cradle.
Whew. And last question, if you were to write a message in a bottle that future generations would find, what would it say?
Make sure that you know how precious your time is and who you want to spend it with.
Now that's
Wow.
good. I like
All the insights that we gained there, rapid fire style. Like that was quick. That was a lot. That was deep. Like Dave, there's probably some follow-up questions you want to dive into there.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I know that your wife and you work with Little Heart Social, which is your social media business. Is that something that you're really, or that she's really getting into, or is that just sort of a side thing? I mean, tell us a little bit more about that, because I really like to.
So thank you, and that's my wife's business, Carrie. When my wife, little context on it, my wife is a pharmacy technician. She deals with a lot of methadone patients. She's been that for about 22 years. Very, very good at what she does. But having a medically fragile child, as Liam was here just a few moments ago, really limited her time being able to work in the pharmacy. So I thought, how can I help my wife she's amazing at what she does in terms of visuals. She helps me stage a lot of my homes that I do list. She has a real eye for it, and talent, especially for social media, sort of that look and feel. I had a lot of businesses and really friends I've met over the years doing Experts on Call on AM 800 and through the years on CTV still reach out to me for advice. And I thought maybe there's a way that I can quantify that value that I offer along with the expertise my wife has and I know she can do, and make that into something where we're not charging folks an arm and a leg to do something to get started on, quote unquote, the wild world of social media. So it was very much a full-time job and we were doing extremely well. And then COVID hit. And first thing to go when there's a massive, financial hardship across the world is your advertising dollars. So we took a step back. I got to give a shout out to some of my long-term partners, and I call them partners, including M&M food shops here locally, and Supreme Restoration, projects in Bath by Design. Folks that I don't even call them clients anymore; they're more like partners because we just do so much work together. And I don't even know what we quote unquote charge each other. We just sort of work together in tandem on projects. And from a real estate lens, it's been really beneficial because I've been able to refer tons of my clients going through the process. And then from a charity aspect, it's been great too, because the charities I do work with, a lot of these folks have budgets every year to give back to the community. And I, sort of line up my charities of choice. And I say, these are the guys and gals that you should be giving your money to. It's a passion. It's a passion career. My wife enjoys it, and we're very lucky to have dedicated clients that we continue to work with. So I guess we're more or less boutique, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that must be really great, spending time with family. So I mean, here it is. Here's something that you get to work together on. You get to spend time with your wife. You get to be on projects together. And spending all that time together, is super important, especially with all the other things that you have going on and that she has. I know that Chris, you have so many things going on, and so do I. So being able to work with your family, with your wife, I'm kind of jealous of that. I really am.
It's hard.
Everything would be really hard. Yeah,
it's hard sometimes. There's a lot of difference of opinion. I tend to go very quickly with things, and I'm not the best. I'll be honest. I'm not the best proofreader. It's not one of my strong points. She is. So that's where we sort of have those crucial confrontations, as I call them, where she's more behind the scenes and I'm happy to go meet clients and, forge relationships. I enjoy doing that. So, but it's hard. So we learn to sort of, how are we approaching this conversation? Are we business owners right now? Or are we husband and wife? Or are we mom and dad? So.
Yeah, like I'm always in awe of people who are able to do that, because with my wife and I've asked her at different times to maybe help, and it's like I know that it's probably not the good thing. Like it would just be bad. Like I am not detail oriented. I'm not going to be that guy. I move really fast. I don't follow a process. She does, but that's not her interest. And so for me, I'm impressed when people are able to make that work. I'm glad that my wife's got her stream of stuff and I got my stream, and we kind of keep the world separate, but when people can do it together, blows me away. On the real estate front, I'm curious your opinion on just the market in general, because it's gone obviously through a lot of change. I work with a lot of real estate investors who are kind of inside and outside of the area as well.
Mhm.
Obviously, Windsor's got a lot going for it right now. Can you talk a little bit about just this Windsor Essex region right now and how things look from the real estate side from your angle?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thanks for bringing that up, Chris. I think that we are on the precipice of unprecedented growth here in the region, but there are a lot of hurdles that we need to cross. Um, I just had a meeting actually today with a good friend of mine in my office. I do have an office here in town outside of my home office in Amherstburg, right beside the Tim Hortons, and I'm in there quite often. Um, and I was talking to my friend because he's renting right now and he wants to buy his first home. And if you take a look at some of the national headlines about the amount of immigration that we are taking in as a country, you take a look at the fact that plain as day, there is a housing shortage. I went on a sort of a rant about, as a realtor, I would love to continue selling 799, 899, 999 homes, and I will continue, but we need to get people into the market at an affordable range. Um, we need to get the next generation, Gen Z, be able to achieve home ownership. And that's where I think, some levels of government do need to step forward and put forth a concrete plan to work with developers to subsidize some developers to sort of incentivize them to develop sort of the homes that you would see in South Walkerville. After World War II, when the GIs were coming home after fighting overseas, they were setting up a lot of these Canadians to, sort of come back into society. And they had these 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom houses that many of them still stand right now in those areas. Those can be achievable. I think you're starting to see that a little bit with the ADUs. The mother-in-law suites that people are sort of investigating here locally, but I think that there are other options that levels of government can do. I think that there needs to be branches to the development side to say, how can we sort of support you guys to make some of these homes? Because the price of all these materials, from a development standpoint, we work with quite a few developers here in Amherstburg. It is what it is. The price of materials and certainly labor is going to be a concern going forward.
Well, I was just reading just the other day about how many projects they put on hold because of the interest rates, and they're waiting to see, where things go. And no, I agree with you completely. I mean, there's definitely spots here where the government needs to step up, both, provincial, federal, municipal, and start, getting these things moving again. Because I mean, I don't know if you know how many people are looking for homes in the Windsor area currently right now.
Lots.
But
Lots.
yeah.
And a lot of them are upset because they don't think it's achievable. And for people who are selling right now, I think you're in a great position. For people who are buying right now, you're in a great position because the price of homes will continue to rise here locally. Because listen, we're the only municipality that I'm aware of, at least in Ontario, that has major infrastructure coming our way in terms of the battery plant and all the spin-off jobs. You have the Gordie Howe Bridge, which is well underway, but that whole area of West Windsor and LaSalle is going to be transformed with that border footprint. And then you've got the mega hospital on the way as well, not to mention all the quote unquote unreleased announcements that are coming. You've got these people got to live somewhere, they got to sleep, they've got to drive, they've got to eat somewhere. The area is just going to be insane. And the amount of people from out of Windsor that we see through my office that make phone calls to us, we have a subdivision actually we're building in Amherstburg. It's called Boulder Ridge. And we're still waiting for the proper approvals to officially move forward with it. But we've got a waiting list of about 40 families. I would say 80% of those are from out of the area to get into this subdivision. It's about 575 homes, and we're hoping to break ground as soon as possible. So it's really an interesting time. I think to go back to our previous conversation, I think that's where, having somebody who knows the area, knows what's coming, especially from you're out of the area, is so crucial to have somebody in your corner. And that's why I one of our taglines for real estate is we're full-time, full service. There's not a moment I'm not thinking real estate or connecting with a client. My wife has sort of resigned herself to that. That's the business I'm in now. But I know I would want somebody who is handling my money in a purchase, one of the largest purchases, to be available 24/7. I pride myself in that.
Now, I mean, really quick here, but how many stories are you running into with younger people who are looking for homes who, just they're getting beaten out by the higher prices. I mean, what do you say to these people? After they've got lost, a bid again and again and again.
I love working with first-time home buyers like that. Actually, one of my clients, Connor and Tia, to reference them, we went on a journey starting in May of this year, and I finally got them into a home that they're going to very much enjoy, that we did not overpay on, in the end of July. And there's the HGTV expectation for a lot of these folks. Even if you're looking, they make it look easy on HGTV. And then I tell people a lot of it, take a look at where your investment's going to be in the next 4 to 5 years. So I really try to be surgical when I look at properties for my buyers. And then I tell them not to give up. When you hire a real estate agent, your real estate agent should be your general on the battlefield of finding you a home. I should be able to find areas that have potential or know of things that are coming down the pipe, and then work with you to adjust expectations on the way. You can find a beautiful home, but I think going through the process it's a sheer act of will. But a good real estate agent is not just an agent; they're an advisor. They're very much a psychologist, and they're somebody that you can trust with your dreams. So, there was a couple of dark moments with them because we did get beat on a few different properties. I said, just stay the course. I will find you a home. And lo and behold, at the end of July, just before we hit August, we found them a nice home in Central Windsor that they'll be closing on probably at the end of this month. So really looking forward to, I always like to be there when they get the keys. I try to make it just because I want to make sure everything's okay. But I also just like to, selfishly pick up that vibe, right? It's a good vibe when people get keys.
Just step into their new home. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it kind of completes the experience too.
Sure. And it gives me a chance to say, I try to document, milestones and put it in my phone to say, okay, time to circle back in a year from now and see how they are. Sure. Because things could come up too. So
what's one final piece of advice that you would love to share with the audience?
Find your tribe and find your reason why you continue to do what you do, but don't be cemented in that.
That was great. That was deep. I love that. I think that thank you so much for taking the time today to connect with us, to share your insights. I think anybody who was listening to this, watching this, I hope you were taking notes, because the value that was dropped here was incredible. Thank you again for being on Rapid Fire Insights.
Big fan, guys. Keep up the great work.
All right, everyone. That's it for this week's episode of Rapid Fire Insights. Again, we're at the crossroads of velocity and curiosity. Stay tuned for another episode coming next week.